This week on the Pro Wrestling Podcast, Mick Foley warns WWE that they are in big trouble. Bully Ray on MJF's heat-seeking promo from Dynamite. Adam Cole, baby. And Fuego Del motherfucking Soul is all elite. All of this and more. I'm your host, Seth Grimes, and this is the Pro Wrestling Podcast.
Cause your opinion don't matter. This a maniac is gonna step on whomever.
That's right, I'm back, and we're back with a brand new season of the Pro Wrestling Podcast. And yes, I said that twice, and yes, I know that's redundant. That's just part of the title. It's part of the shtick. All right, just go along with it. I'm your humble host, Seth Grimes. We are back with a brand new season. And first thing I want to get out of the way is there are no more seasons. We're back. We're back full time now, doing the show, doing the ditty. So let's get into it. Nobody wants to spend time listening to me rant about welcome to the show and all that shit. But I'm happy to be here with you guys. I missed you fuckers. I dropped a review of the AEW Rampage with the debut of CM Punk. I was there in person, in-house, for the event. If you haven't heard my in-depth review, I know that's old news now. We got fucking 5 other people that debuted in AEW. I get it. I understand. CM Punk's the veteran in the locker room now. I get that. But if you care to hear my perspective from in-person, in-house for that historical event, go check that up on the podcast feed, up on the YouTube channel as well. It's going to be everywhere, man. But enough of that shit. Let's get into business. And we might as well just call this the AEW-themed episode because, Jesus Christ, what a week did we have in the world of professional wrestling. Specifically in the world of AEW. 500 guys from the independents and from WWE all jumped ship into AEW on this one pay-per-view, and it was glorious. It's undeniable. AEW is on a fucking streak right now. They are fucking coasting. The momentum behind this company firing on all cylinders. They have all of the top free agents. They are absolutely a hotter company than WWE. Now, are they... they got a long way to go before they ever get to WWE's level as far as just, being ingrained in pop culture and history, the money that they make, the corporate infrastructure, the worldwide presence. WWE is a massive corporation and a massive machine that's been around for 50, 60, 70 years. AEW is not going to catch up to that, but what they are going to do is they're going to capture the imaginations and the hearts of the fans that are watching this show. There are wrestling fans out there and they're pulling them in slowly but surely. Not all at once. But you're hearing these stories of these people that used to be wrestling fans that are hearing about what is this AEW thing, and I think I want to check it out, and I want to watch this, and then for God's sakes, the fucking CM Punk return. Was there a bigger thing ever in the history of life? Was there? Was the birth of your child bigger than when CM Punk returned in Chicago? I don't think it was. You didn't have 15,000 people standing outside your hospital room when the baby's head pops out of your wife or your girlfriend or your ex. And a baby pops out and they weren't cheering Larry's kid, Billy's kid, Tommy's kid. No, they were chanting for CM Punk. You fuck. Don't be selfish. AEW's on this massive wave right now. And it's theirs to fuck up. And history has shown us that wrestling companies fuck it up. And guess who's always there to just fucking scoop up the ashes in their little dustpan. And then they put them in a compactor and they press them into this fancy little cube. And then they take that cube and they fucking enter it into a computer machine and they digitize an entire library out of it. And then they sell it to the Peacock Network. And that's what they do. So history tells us that in 10 years, AEW is going to be on the Peacock Network. And CM Punk's debut is going to fall under Season 1, Episode 2 of Rampage on the Peacock Network. Fucking fucks. This is my biggest fear because wrestling needs competition. Wrestling needs... Look how hot wrestling is. I mean, the indies were hot for a while. It was the indies being as hot as they were, New Japan being as hot as it was, NXT becoming as hot as it was, that led to the formation of AEW. This was the proof of concept that Tony Khan had to know that he could make a go of it, that wrestling was not only hot, but eager for another hot product. And somehow, some way, he's managed to not be TNA or Impact, if you want to be proper about it. He's managed to not be Ring of Honor. He's managed to not be ECW, or so far, he's for all intents and purposes, they are WCW in 1996. Last year was 1995. This is 1996 WCW Nitro. By 97 and 98, AEW will be beating WWE in the ratings. They're already that close. They're already beating them in the key demographics. This is a real thing that's happening, and I know fans are divided. I know you guys are fucking divided on this. I get it. Some of you are listening to me right now and thinking the same thing I just said about Sam Roberts being a fucking WWE mark. And you guys are going, oh, it's fucking Seth Grimes is a pro wrestling podcast. He repeats it twice. These motherfuckers big AEW mark. I am, because it's fucking fun and because they got CM Jesus Christ Punk, my Lord and Savior. So shut your mouth, okay? And plus, WWE's boring, man. Like, I was a lifelong WWE fan. I've told this story on the cast here before. We call it the cast here, right? We call it the cast for short because we're all friends here. We don't have to be formal. We can be informal. We can be chill. It's the cast. It's the cast. It's the pod. Whatever you want to call it. I grew up the biggest WWE mark. Love that shit. All the way through from the Mega Powers exploding all the way through the Attitude Era. I lost a little bit of interest along the way. I think I came back in. I lost interest somewhere along the way, like in the early 2000s-ish, maybe. Right before John Cena came in, or around the time Cena and Orton and all them fucks were coming in. And it took a little while to get me back in, but then I got back in and I got excited about wrestling again, and it was fun again for a little while, and it just slowly but surely went to shit. And WWE's been the only product in town that's been able to be on that level. They're making stupid money off their TV deals, and they've gotten lazy and complacent, and they do whatever the fuck they want. And now, on top of all that, they've gotten stupid and they've gotten flagrant. They're getting cocky. They don't consider AEW competition is going to be famous last words if that's the attitude they're going to take towards AEW. Because history repeats itself. Could that mean AEW folds in 10 years and WWE's got their library on the Peacock Network? It might. Very well could. 50-50, if I'm being honest. All TNT's got to do is wake up one day and say they don't want wrestling on their TV anymore. And maybe wrestling's not as hot as it used to be. Maybe 5 years go by and it kind of dulls down a little bit. Maybe other TV networks, they don't really want to pick up AEW. Anything could happen. But for the here and the now, they are beating the shit out of WWE. WWE doesn't care. They're boring. They're stupid. They have some good stuff. Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman. Anything with Paul Heyman's always good. That's always going to be a hit. RK Bro, decent stuff. But, I mean, Adam Cole, baby. And the fucking, that cage match. And the CM Punk, that one guy, the CM Punk guy. Bryan Danielson, how dare I, right? How dare I? What was I thinking? Bryan Danielson with his ponytail. He's like little Brock Lesnar, right? That came back with the same ponytail. Mick Foley chimed in on this very conversation and made a lot of news. So much news with his little video talking about how WWE, we have a problem. Got him a little bit of publicity, that along with he's on tour right now with his little stand-up act that he's got going on. And he was on Sean Waltman's Pro Wrestling for Life podcast talking about his little video nugget of knowledge that he dropped for WWE. Check out this clip.
Before we connected here today, you went viral for putting out a video titled WWE, We Have a Problem. Why did you feel like you wanted to put this video out, Mick?
Well, they do pay people to be consultants. And if I was being paid to be a consultant, I would say, WWE, we've got a problem. And I'm just putting myself in the place of a top tier superstar who has a decision to make. And I would look at how AEW has treated their recent acquisitions, and I would compare it to how WWE has treated a few of their recent, as in development, bringing up to the main roster. And I would say, I don't know if I want to gamble to such an extent that I'm willing to have, everything I've done watered down or made a joke of.
He's not wrong, guys. He's not wrong. I'm not wrong. You can hate AEW. You can be a WWE mark, a WWE shill. You can be an AEW shill. We're divided. Just the same as the country itself is divided, it seems. The wrestling fan base is divided. We got the people that love them, some sports entertainment, and we got some people that love wrestling. And shit's gonna change now because the wrestling isn't gonna be found on the WWE product. Now that they've already made a rule that they're not taking any more indie guys. None. Everybody's gonna be built from the ground up now. And it's going to come through NXT with the rainbow swirls. And it's going to be booked by Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard. What more can you say? You think they're going to turn this around and it's going to be another Attitude Era? You know, when WCW Nitro put the pressure on them and they had the fucking plumber and the fucking NASCAR driver and the fucking hockey player. And they had to pull their heads out of their ass, and they came up with the Attitude Era. That's where you got The Rock, and you got Stone Cold, and fucking everybody, right? WWE's not gonna do that. You think Vince is gonna wake up tomorrow and go, "Oh, god damn it, we gotta get our edge back"? No. They fucking rainbowified the NXT logo and banned anybody from the indies. They're doubling down, folks. They removed Triple H from the fucking head guy in NXT. It's not his shit anymore. He'll probably still run it. He'll probably maybe, get to produce it or something. Who knows? But Vince is going to oversee it. This is the future of our once great and wonderful grand company. I almost can see the downfall of WWE here. What happens when their TV, if they continue on this trajectory and AEW continues on their trajectory and all of these top guys are leaving, like, this is starting to make like mainstream news, right? This is on Sports Illustrated with CM Punk, and ESPN's running shit all the time, and like they're trending all the time. You don't think it was already asked at the last conference call? It's been asked before about AEW, but even on the last conference call, what do you think about these guys that AEW's scooping up and they blew it off? They're not competition. Maybe we'll give them more guys. And they did, and they certainly did. They gave them more guys. What's going to happen when these calls, people keep asking? People keep wondering, why is everybody leaving WWE to go to AEW? Why is AEW trending all over everything? What are you guys doing wrong? And as their TV ratings start to go down, and as AEW slowly creep up, AEW has not had a meteoric rise. They have. They've only been around 2 years, and look at them. So, I mean, in one way they have, but ratings-wise, they've had a hard-ass fight just to hold that near million. To get over a million was a huge struggle. And even now, they might not be surprised to wake up one morning and see a Dynamite did under 1 million viewers. So they have a ways to go yet. But they'll get there within the next 2 years if this continues. And as this happens and more guys, now Bray Wyatt's going to show up over there. And Kevin Owens is going to show up over there. And God knows everybody else that wants to leave WWE is going to try to find their way to AEW. And they can't take them all, but they can certainly take the best of them. Right? They're not going to take Mojo fucking Rawley. They're not even going to take Braun Strowman. The Strowman. Brawny the Strowman. No. But when an Adam Cole becomes available, you're goddamn right. When a Daniel Bryan becomes available, you're goddamn right. When CM Punk, I mean, he wasn't technically straight out of WWE, but even Ruby Riott, because you want a women's division that, you want a women's division that is going to continue to grow and going to hang, and you want to bring a little star power to that too. Bring in Ruby Soho. All of these are like, you can't pass on them. I would say if you're not going to choose Ruby, I don't know that she's the must-have out of everybody that was released. Could have went with a Mickey, though she's a little bit past her prime, so that might have seemed a little more TNA-ish. The Iconics I would still have loved to see in AEW. Not sure that's going to happen now. But you got to fluff up that women's roster, so you got to do something, I guess is what I'm getting at, right? You can't pass these talents up. Bray Wyatt, when he is available, you can't say no. Our roster's full. We can't take Bray Wyatt. One of the top merch sellers in WWE, and for whatever fucking reason, the fans love them some Bray Wyatt, even though his matches are always the shits. That's not always his fault. It's just the stupid gimmick stuff and everything that he's been stuck with. His box-like structures and all those kind of things. But you can't pass on talent like that. Kevin Owens, you cannot pass on Kevin Owens. You just can't. So when these TV rights deals start to come up, and by then AEW could be equal to and or beating WWE in the ratings. They're already beating them in the demographics. So they're going to eventually end up beating them in the 1 point whatevers, right? Of course they are. Don't fool yourself. Just because they're not now doesn't mean, like I said, this is 96. Last year was 95. This is Nitro 96 now. What happened in Nitro 96? Everything. Nitro 95 was here. We're cool. We're different. We're fun. People are catching on to it. People are starting to watch. We got surprises. Yada, yada, yada. 96 was game changer. NWO. Here we are, bitches. Okay? That's what this is right now with AEW. Game changer. So they can coast this momentum, pulling great ratings all the way up through their TV contracts, probably for sure right now. They've got all these guys signed up through their TV contracts. So they will go into their next negotiations probably with a CM Punk and an Adam Cole and a Bryan Danielson. WWE? You don't think these corporate people know? You don't think Fox and USA are aware of what's going on with AEW? There's news out there that Fox was. Fox was pissed that WWE couldn't bring in CM Punk because even they wanted CM Punk. They brought him on for that weird show that they did backstage. They see the value in CM Punk. WWE doesn't? No, because John Laurinaitis is in charge. We all know that story, right? Johnny and fucking in Punky. Good old Phil and good old fucking Johnny. The game has changed, and there is a problem for WWE, and they're not with it enough to fix it this time, and they will lose. Will they get buried and get crushed and go under? No. But they're going to lose in the ratings. They're going to lose in the court of public opinion. And they will once again be second banana. Probably never financially, corporately, as a company. But as a product, as star power, as fan interest, as ratings, yes. Ticket sales in the arenas, yes. AEW will beat Raw, will beat SmackDown within the next 2 years. Mark my motherfucking words. And everybody sees it. You can be a hater all you want. And that's fine. You're entitled to your opinions, but you're wrong. MJF cut a fuck of a promo this week on AEW Dynamite. Did he not? Anybody watch that show everybody's talking about, the Dynamite thing? MJF cut the promo of a lifetime. We don't hear promos like that these days in professional wrestling. Everybody's too PC. Everybody's afraid to offend people. Everybody's afraid to say the thing that's going to get them canceled or kicked off of fucking Twitter. Or everybody's going to go rush outside their house with pitchforks and shit. People are scared to say what's on their mind or just have fun nowadays. And as a heel, as a bad guy, it's your job to have fun. People used to incite riots with their promos. The Dudley Boys, for example, always used to just egg the crowd on. They were begging for somebody to just jump the rail and fucking try to fight them. MJF did just that this week. He did that exact thing, as a matter of fact. He cut one of those nasty, old-school heel promos that you would hear out of Roddy Piper or fucking the Dudley Boys in ECW. Something to that effect. And surprisingly, to very little backlash. I think people have accepted that that's MJF's character. Like, MJF gets a mulligan. Like, if fucking Jungle Boy said it on Twitter, he would get lynched. Maybe not Jungle Boy. People love Jungle Boy. He's cute, right? Luchasaurus, maybe. The fucking dinosaur guy. They'd lynch his ass. But MJF, it's just kind of a given. The guy's a dick, right? Everything that comes out of his mouth is going to be the dickest, most dickest-ish shit you've ever heard in your life. He's a prick. He's a horrible scumbag of a person. So, of course, everything he says when he touches a microphone is going to be the most awful, offensive thing you've ever heard on your ears, and you're prepared for it, and it's a given, and you're not really all that shocked that he would say it. So he gets a pass. Speaking of the Dudley Boys, Bully Ray of the Busted Open podcast was talking about this very subject. Check out this clip.
Come on, how much more smoke can I possibly blow up MJF's ass? Now it's just getting sickening. he is back to where he was at the height of his heat before he tapped to Jericho. Remember, my concern this week was that the next time we see MJF, they're going to start chanting, "You tapped out, you tapped out." And that's exactly what they started to chant. Well, after they stopped chanting, "You tapped out," MJF took that microphone and shoved it up Cincinnati's ass. He got everybody with one mighty swipe of his lightsaber that he calls a microphone. He killed an entire crowd.
And MJF can do whatever he wants because he's MJF and it's expected of him. Nobody expects anything better out of him. We would be more shocked if MJF came out and said something nice. That would make news. MJF said something nice about somebody. Headlines. Okay? Sports Center. MJF says nice things. Unheard of. MJF calls somebody preggers out in the crowd. Okay, 16 and pregnant. Jesus. I mean, like, wow. And apparently, Pilman's sister there, she fucking gave birth like the next day. Like, she went into labor, like MJ. And then, I don't know if you guys saw, I don't have it here in front of me, so I'm going to misquote it as fuck, but a savage tweet. Pilman tweeted, you know, that she went into labor because of it. And MJF said something fucking horrible, called them inbred. Even the inbred kid wanted to get away from it, something to that effect. Man, it's gold. It's pure gold. That's his character. What's to hate? How can you possibly hate it? You gotta laugh. You gotta respect it. Sometimes you gotta shake your head in shame and just go, oh my God, I can't believe he said that. But then you go, oh, well, he's MJF. Of course he said that. Words by any other mouth shall be stoned to death in the court of public opinion, but not Sir Maxwell Jacob Friedman. Somebody's gonna get their ass kicked. Somebody's gonna get their wig split. Somebody's gonna get their ass kicked. Somebody's gonna get the wig split. What? Mark Henry was on Talk is Jericho, baby. You want me to stop singing? Is that it? Is that bothering you? Mark Henry was on Talk is Jericho this week, talking with Jericho. And they're talking all about the same old shit that they always talk about. WWE career, AEW, why'd you go to AEW? But in this particular clip, Mark Henry was talking about what led him to the Hall of Pain character. And this was actually very interesting. I had not known this, and it's fucking dope story. So sit back for a little bit of story time with Uncle Mark Henry. Here you go.
What was it that finally clicked to make you turn into Hall of Pain?
Man, the number one thing was Vince played a joke on me. I went out to the ring, and they played my music, and I was supposed to be wrestling.
Is this for a dark match?
It's a dark.
Right. This is after the show was done.
After the show was over.
You're in
It
the
was at Des Moines,
advertised dark
Iowa.
match. Gotcha.
I'll never forget it.
Yeah.
And I'm standing out there, and his music is playing. They play it like 3 times, and now I'm angry at Sin Cara. I'm going to just beat his ass when he get out here. He had played his music 3 times. Where the hell is he? You know, it was that thing. And then they played Vader's music. It's Vader time. And I'm like, what? Wait a minute. And I look at Scott Armstrong. I said, what's going on? He's like, Mark, I don't have nothing to do with this. I don't know what's. I said, I get the microphone. And I didn't realize what I was doing until after I did it. I said, give me the microphone. I cut a promo. I don't know what's going on, but somebody better bring their ass out here to this ring. Because if I have to come back there and get somebody, it is not going to be pretty. Throw the microphone down. Then they play Rey Mysterio's music. Booyaka, booyaka, 619. I'm like, I get the microphone again. I said, look, this ain't funny. And Scott gets out of the ring because he sees now I can't talk. Like, my ability. I told you, I
There you go,
cannot
yeah.
talk. It's just some. I don't know what's going on. Like now, I throw the microphone down, and I start power walking up the ramp, and I get up there, and it's a ghost town. Like everybody's gone, and I just destroy the gorilla position. Just mad as. So I go, and Vince is crying. He's apologetic. He's serious. He's like, man, I didn't know this was gonna hurt your feelings. I just thought it was a rib, but can I show you something? And I was like, oh shit, what now? And Kevin, play the footage of Mark in the ring, and it looked like that video, that famous video that they show of Sasquatch. You know, like
Patterson
it
Gimlin
looks like
film,
like it's like a. And I look like a monster. It didn't look nothing like me.
Beat him up, break his neck, beat him up, break his neck, break his neck. You know what I'm saying? Mark Henry all day long, son. That's a great story because Mark didn't know that he had that in him, or he didn't want to let that side of him out, but that was the side that he needed to make him a star. He became a real life monster that was going to destroy people, and he could. Thank fuck Mark Henry is a gentle giant, because he can literally just rip your arms out of your sockets and beat you over the head with them and then fucking eat them like a chicken wing. And sit down and kick his feet up and watch a football game. He can. And ain't nobody gonna tell him any different. You go tell Mark Henry that he can't rip your arm off, and he'll rip your fucking legs off. But I digress. This was actually a pretty good talk. We've heard Mark Henry make the rounds in the podcasts and all that. Hell, I think I covered him before we took our break for the season and all the summer and all that shit. Henry's been talking ever since he joined AEW. He's talking to anybody that'll listen about why he joined AEW and why he left WWE and all that shit. But this particular story was great. Not only that, but you got a good rib story out of it, a good old Vince McMahon rib. I laughed out loud when he mentioned the Vader music. Like, I know Mark said he got kind of pissy and that, you know, he felt embarrassed because he was in front of the live crowd, but I know if I'm out there, I'm probably pissed at Sin Cara until the Vader music plays, and then I'm just laughing my ass off. Remember that clip of William Regal where he's coming to the ring and he's got that like awesome like dark brooding kind of music that he had when he was like King of the Ring, William Regal? The fucking halfway down the ramp where he's walking to the ring, it switches to "He's a man, he's a man," or however the fuck the song goes, the Manly Man song from the Attitude Era. A real man's man, Steven Regal. And Regal just fucking starts cracking up. You can see a smile break on his face. Like, how could you not? That shit's funny to me. That's good old-fashioned funny shit. And then to see when Mark Henry's in the ring and they just play the Vader music, like, come on. Like, if you're Mark Henry, you gotta laugh at that. But no, he got pissed. And he proceeded to go backstage and destroy the gorilla position. Just fucking smash it apart. And Vince got the fuck out of there, but not before ordering it to be taped. Then watching said tape and going, God damn, there's money in that guy. And here we are, the Hall of Pain. John Cena gets slammed with the fucking salmon dress coat, and we're off to the races, buddy. Check out the full interview on Talk is Jericho every single Wednesday and every single Friday. Of course, this was the Friday one. Also on Talk is Jericho, back on the Wednesday edition, Stephen Amell was his guest. Another great guest from the world of wrestling. There's that new show Heels that's out right now that CM Jesus Christ Punk is a part of. I've yet to watch Heels. I probably should, and I should probably talk about it on here or like on a separate video or feed or some shit. I don't know. We'll get to it when we get to it. Maybe it'll be a season review when the whole thing's done. I'll binge it. Whatever the case may be, he's on that show. He was also on Arrow, the Green Arrow show from the DC comic book Arrow guy. Him and Hawkeye should have an arrow off. They should just shoot arrows at each other and just fucking see who wins the arrow competition. Anyway, Stephen Amell talks with Chris Jericho, and he talks about when he was in WWE and he was getting ready to have his match at SummerSlam. And on Monday Night Raw, he was going to get in the ring and go face-to-face with Cody Rhodes. Of course, Stephen Amell, I want to jump up on the ring and I want to fly over the top rope. But Road Doggy Dog had other ideas. Check out this clip.
I understood that it was live.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I really can't overstate. It was terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
It really, really was. Because when we were in Everett, Washington, so basically what the setup for the match was that, you know, I was the special guest at Raw. Cody comes down. He comes up to me. He face washes me. And then I jump in the ring. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to hop the barricade. I wanted to jump on the apron, hop over the top rope, and then tackle him.
Right.
And Road Dogg was booking the segment for us. And he was like, well, all right, he's going to face wash you, but then hop the barricade, slide under the bottom rope. And I went, no, I want to jump up on the apron. I want to hop over the top rope. And he goes, no, slide under the bottom rope. And I went, no. And I looked at Cody and I'm like, what the fuck, man? And he said, Road Dogg said, he goes, look, you can jump up on the apron if you want. You can fly over the top rope if you want. But if you miss the jump to get on the apron or you miss going over the top rope, you do not have a match at SummerSlam. I get it.
I love listening to that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff is the things that that's the reason why I do this. This is the reason why I sit and I listen to these wrestling podcasts. These kind of stories just touch me in the feelies, you know? You got a guy like Stephen Amell. He's being humbled to the wrestling business. You know, he's getting told by the Road Dogg, listen, man, do whatever the fuck you want. I'm not going to tell you can't, but I am going to tell you if you fuck it up, your SummerSlam match isn't happening. And that changed everything for Steven. He's like, oh, yeah, okay, I get it. And then just the respect that he was giving in the locker rooms, dressing in the locker room. Stephen Amell really seems like he is one of the boys. He's not a movie star that dabbles in wrestling. Or a TV star, I should say, that dabbles in wrestling. He could have been a movie star, by the way. Why they never brought the fucking Green Arrow into the DC movieverse. And now he said that he helped pitch it, that was a thing that they were working on trying to make happen. And it just never did. And now after he quit the job, now they're like, yeah, let's open up this universe and bring everybody together. And he's like, well, fuck. Right? Because he could have shared the screen with Batman. He still could. He could go back to it. That's a huge sidebar, by the way. And then DC's a mess anyway. They got to get their shit together. They don't know which way they're going with stuff. They don't know if they want to be dark and brooding or goofy and comical or fucking team up movies with space aliens or what. They're losing their identity. It's sad. Anyways. Back on topic, you distracting fuck. So it's good to hear, you know, when Steven says that Cody told him he'd be welcome in any locker room, and I believe that. He's like a David Arquette. I think a David Arquette would be welcome, and you know, there's guys that really do have a healthy appreciation for the wrestling business that are in entertainment. You know, it's like Jericho had said in this podcast, like, there's been a lot of people that came through the door in WWE, especially during that guest host era and everything, that just thought it was all a big joke and didn't know anything about it or didn't care or whatever, or big shot and everybody. But then there's the guys that are like, yeah, I really love this. I really respect this. This is your house. I want to follow the rules. I want to get along with everybody. I want to learn from you guys. And Stephen Amell seems like that guy. He seems like a cool, humble dude that respects the business. Like a Freddie Prinze Jr. There's another Hollywood guy that just gets it. I like that. I like that about these Hollywood types that are into that shit. So kudos to them and all of that shit. AEW week continues here on the Pro Wrestling Podcast with Adam Cole, baby. That's right. Adam Cole, baby, was on Busted Open this week as well. Busted Open got the scoop on everybody this week. They had Ruby. They had Punk last week. They had, fucking Adam Cole, baby. They got them all. Mick Foley talking about it. Shit. Adam Cole, baby, was on Busted Open talking about his AEW debut and his choice to go to AEW. If you haven't heard any of this kind of stuff, or if you have, but you haven't heard it on Busted Open, or if you have, then just shut the fuck up and listen anyway. Check this out.
Tony Khan, what was it about AEW that made you want to come here and have a home here?
So there are so many factors, and I could go on and on, but a few of the ones off the top of my head is you mentioned Tony Khan, and Tony is such an incredible person. He has such a love and passion for pro wrestling that I've said before, but I'll say again, is contagious. You can tell that he just eats, sleeps, and breathes this stuff, and that's great, especially when you're the one leading the charge for a company like AEW. On top of that, again, you've got a locker room full of guys who are ready to do anything and everything to deliver the best match, the best segment possible. And then maybe most important, you have a bunch of rabid fans who so badly want AEW to succeed. I mean, I don't see how you couldn't want to be a part of it.
Adam Cole, baby. You know what's cool about Adam Cole, baby? Is that Adam Cole, baby, can come out to a gigantic pop when his music hits. And when he puts his hands up in the air, the whole fucking crowd will chant, baby. But then he gets to go back to being a heel. He's allowed to heel on the crowd, and they'll boo him. They'll boo him. They'll boo every fucking thing that he says in his entire promo. They will hate his heel guts. But for the minute or two that it takes him to get from when his music hits to when his fingers go in the air and the crowd goes, baby. He gets that moment every time, no matter what. It's like, we love you and appreciate you and respect you. So here's our love. Okay, now we're back in and we're gonna pretend you're a bad guy again. I love that about him, and he deserves that. He gets that. That's part of his shtick now. That's Adam Cole, baby, gets the love from the crowd, and then he gets to go back to being a heel. It's great shit. Did you hear that the idea for Adam Cole in the WWE on the main roster was to be a manager for Keith Lee? A manager? Adam Cole, a manager. Why? Because he's fucking small? Because he's skinny? This is the stupidest shit. Fuck off with that every wrestler needs to be a big 300-pound jacked up fucking Batista. Fuck off with that. I'm telling you. The UFC has squashed that into the ground. If boxing hadn't even done it before that with Floyd Mayweather, the UFC certainly did it with guys like Conor McGregor. The biggest stars in the entire game are the smallest ones over the last 20 years, 10 years maybe. So why does every wrestler need to be a fucking 300-pound monster to be believable? Maybe if you wanted to pass wrestling off as a real event that's happening for real life, you could have weight classes and you could have heavyweights and light heavyweights and whatever and just let them their star power shine, but from their own division. But this is pro wrestling. We don't need to make big guy versus little guy not believable. Doesn't fucking matter. Right? Big guy, little guy, throw fucking Marco Stunt in the ring against the Big Show. It's pro wrestling. It doesn't matter. Jim Cornette will say it's fucking hog foolery because he believes that wrestling should be, if done right, exactly like UFC. That's bullshit. Okay? The UFC is UFC. We know what that looks like now. You can't put that worm back in the bottle. Wrestling is entertainment, right? There was a fork in the road. Pro wrestling pretended to be real fights until we saw real fights. Then real fights became real fights, and pro wrestling became flippy doodahs and characters and good promos. I don't know how we got all the way off here talking about Adam Cole, baby. But anyways, moving on. Deonna Purrazzo was on the Oral Sessions podcast with Renee Paquette. And she was talking about her time in NXT, and no, she's not in AEW. I know, it's weird that somebody exists in wrestling outside of WWE that's not in AEW, but Deonna Purrazzo is one of them, at least for now. Though she does hope to go wrestle Miss Britt Baker, DDM. DMD, DSD, Doctor of Thugonomics. And Deonna was talking about her time in NXT and why she got frustrated there and why she decided to ultimately leave NXT. Check this out.
Okay, so you're following the path. You're 9 years old. You get into wrestling. You start knocking off some dream things like signing to WWE, signing to NXT. But then not loving it anymore. What happened that kind of sucked the fun out of it for you?
I think even before I signed to NXT, and it was right before the second Mae Young, and I had been on like such a tear. Like I was doing stuff with Ring of Honor. I was contracted there, but I was traveling the world. I was in Japan living for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 3 months at a time. I had done a tour of Australia. I was in Canada. I was all over America. I was spending a lot of time in England, and I just felt like, oh, this is the dream. Like I'm seeing the world and it's expenses paid. And, I was just having a lot of fun. And then when I came back, it was like, okay, now I'm just in one place. And I was just wrestling, 3 nights a week, 4 nights a week, 5 nights a week, depending where I was. And now I'm training and I'm not wrestling matches. Like I did play the game at first and I was kind of like, okay, yeah, like definitely.
Pun intended or no pun intended? Time to play the game. Got it. Sorry. Wow. What a fucking loser I am. Anyways, keep going.
It took me a second to realize, but pun intended. Absolutely. And just kind of go like, okay, you want me to debut on TV and lose? Oh, that kind of sucks. But okay, whatever. Like no big deal. Okay. Now I'm on TV.
This was with Asuka?
That was with Bianca.
Okay.
My first road loop, like immediately after the Mae Young, it was like, we filmed all of that. 2 weeks later, it was like, you're going to go on a road loop. And I was like, I'm going to be on the main roster in a year. This is great.
Yeah.
This is happening. They're going to use me. Awesome. And then it stopped. And it was kind of like, okay, so no big deal. Let's like pitch some stuff. Let's see what they're thinking. And then when you ask too many questions, then you become a problem. And I asked too many questions. And then I think I just really couldn't like kick that habit of being like, okay, but now what? Okay, but me, like, hi, I'm in the back. What about me? And the more I asked, the more people got upset. And I was just labeled as a problem. I was labeled as difficult and that like people didn't want to work with me. I wasn't working hard enough. You fall out of love with it when you're not doing it to the level you know you can do it as.
Yeah, that's fucked up, bro. I mean, she said it herself. She was getting on everybody's nerves and stuff, and maybe she was pushing a little too much. But is that a bad thing? Hey, I want to learn. Hey, I want to get better. Hey, I want to get to the top of my class. How do I do that? How do I do that? Help me, help me. There's nothing wrong with that kind of shit. Now we weren't there. Maybe she was backstage all like, psh, I used to be on the indies and shit. I could do all this stuff. I could be champion in like a week. I don't even need to be here. Then I could see why they're like, honey, why don't you go sit in the fucking corner and just watch? Okay? Shut your mouth. Go watch. But I don't think that that's what was going on. I think they just didn't like her, didn't see anything in her, didn't whatever the fuck, somebody got their hair up their ass about her. Whatever the case may be, she had a bad experience there and she got the fuck out. And then look at her now. She is one of the biggest names on the women's wrestling scene, if not the biggest outside of WWE and AEW. In any event, absolutely worth checking out this podcast. They talk about a lot of silly shit, as girls are known to do. But they also have a lot of little gems in here, and this full story about NXT really is one of those go out of your way to check out interviews. So check it out. Oral Sessions with Renee Paquette, formerly Renee Young. Hopefully we see her face in AEW sometime. We know she's there. She talks about it a lot. I just want to see her back on my TV again sometime. Even if it's not full-time, I'd get a pop out of just, hey, it's Renee Young. I fucking love Renee. She's the best. Isn't she? Listen to her podcast. For fuck's sakes. Listen to her podcast. You're going to love it. It's all about the game and how we play it. My dude. My homeboy. My brother from another mother. Fuego Del motherfucking Soul. Is signed, sealed, and delivered. He is officially all elite. Check out this clip.
Check. Okay, now you're signed. Now you can do this and this and this and this. Buy some Jordans. Be on a podcast.
Absolutely.
Fuego.
What's up, Tony?
Hey, buddy. You signed full-time with AEW. It was on August 13th. It was quite a moment. It's quite a moment for everybody. Talk about that moment and what it meant for it not only to happen to you, but to hear it from Sammy.
It's kind of hard to put into words. It was such an overwhelming feeling. I remember all day just being excited because I had never even wrestled on Dynamite before.
Right.
To have over 40 matches in the company and never get to be on TV in that sense, the pressure was already on just to have a good match, just to perform well that night. And then to be shocked the way I was, surprised afterwards. I mean, I just, even thinking about it, I get the chill bumps. I get the goosebumps thinking about it because I had no clue. So, a lot of people online like to joke around and speculate and talk about their conspiracy theories, but I had no clue. I was told to, lay there through the break and get the reception from the crowd after we come back. And I remember I'm just sitting there trying to look tough as we come back from break because I just went through hell with Miro, and Sammy Guevara's music hit, and I immediately turned my head and just overwhelmed with emotion in a sense that, me and Sammy had never interacted on screen together, and he's got, he's a big star in AEW, and I didn't know if they wanted us to ever, be even connected on screen at all. So to let him, my best friend, come out and hand me the contract and do it on the biggest stage it could possibly be done on the first Rampage was one of the greatest moments of my career, probably the greatest moment of my career.
Bruh, if you've been listening to the Pro Wrestling Podcast, I've been following this Fuego Del Soul shit on Sammy's vlog for months and 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 months. Finally, when all hope was lost and they were going back on the road and they were saying their farewells and it looked like he was going to be gone forever, a fucking miracle happened. And Fuego del Sol hit that tornado DDT on Miro, not once, but twice, I think maybe 3 times. I don't know. Doesn't matter. He hit that shit because he's the master of it. And the crowd went insane. And he got his contract handed to him by his best friend in the whole world, Mr. Sammy Guevara. But apparently Fuego didn't know it was happening. So it's not a fake story. This is real shit. This was a surprise to congratulate and thank Fuego and reward him for his hard work. Dude toned up. Dude worked hard. Dude got over. Dude gets chants from the crowd. He is undeniable. He is. He really is. He is unfucking deniable. Fuego del Sol. My man. I know people, if you don't watch the vlogs, you're probably like, nah, who's this guy? These are the same people that think QT Marshall on their TV is go away heat. Let me tell you something, brother. QT Marshall, my friends, is entertaining as fuck. I'll go to bat for QT Marshall any day of the week. He's not living up to his full potential on TV. I'll say that. He's not as entertaining on TV as he is on Sammy's vlog. He's entertaining as fuck. And his feud with Fuego, no doubt, is what got Fuego over, what got Fuego signed. I'm just so happy for him. I love these little happy stories. I love that people can work hard and they can achieve things. I love that wrestling has something good in it. Finally. There's just lots of goodness coming out of AEW. And it melts my heart. It really does. All right, y'all. It's been real. We have made it through yet another show. It's good to be back. I'm glad to be back with you after a summer off, after a season off. I'm back with you guys doing our thing, reviewing podcasts, talking about wrestling. The greatest thing in the world during what is the second coming of the greatest time in professional wrestling ever, in my humble opinion. I'm glad you guys are here with me to enjoy it, to experience it, to be along for the ride, and just love professional wrestling. You know, have passion for professional wrestling, care about the characters, hate MJF for being a scumbag, love CM Jesus Christ Punk. Be a wrestling fan, baby. Enjoy these times because they are few and far. As a lifetime wrestling fan, I am here to tell you, these moments are few and far between. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for taking time out of your day to listen to just a small little portion cut of your time dedicated to my show. I'm your host, Seth Grimes. Follow me at Seth Grimes Media on Facebook and Twitter, and I think that's it. I'm not on the Instagram or anything. Should I be on Instagram? What do you do on Instagram? You just post pictures of like the sky and your dog and stuff? Is that what you do? I don't know. Anyway, peace, love, and pizza. This is the Pro Wrestling Podcast. Wait for it. Podcast. Nailed it. I think we did good. We did good. That was a good show. I feel good about that one. All right. Hey, you got any of that crack left?